Hello YouTubers, Snap-on John 100 here. I just an update on this mower. It had more issues than what I was told. I replaced the pull cord, and I'll show you that. I also had to. Well, I replaced the air filter. It was completely filthy. And also, when I tried to start it, it kicked back. Like when you try to pull it and it about jerks your arm out of the socket. Well, that was because the timing's slightly off. What happens is the timing is set by the where the magnets on the fan pass in front of the magneto coil, and it's extremely precise. So there's a notch cut in the fan, and also, or the fan slash flywheel, and also there's a notch cut in the crankshaft, so that when you put them back on, you can you slide a key. It's called a keyway. You slide a key, a Woodruff key, into that slot, and then you lock those two components together so that they don't move with reference to each other. And so when that's locked exactly where it's supposed to be, the timing is perfect. And when it's when you hit something hard, the momentum of the fan or flywheel wants to keep going, because the blade stops instantaneously. And what happens is, in a really horrible major case, you actually shear the key off. But usually what happens with these is the key just gets smushed over a little bit. So in essence, what happens is when you try to start it, it fires when the piston's coming up before it reaches top dead center, and so it actually tries to force the piston down, trying to make the engine turn backwards. That's what makes it jerk your arm. Okay, so I fixed that. So what is next is changing oil and sharpening the blade, but I just want to, after I've done that work, I want to make sure that it starts up okay. So this is just a cold start of this engine, and it's been sitting overnight, and my hand is on the exhaust right here. Okay, so that's just kind of showing you that it's still cold. So I'm going to go over here to prime it. This has got a primer bulb on the front. It's kind of aiming at it. See if it starts. Okay, so I'm just going to let it warm up off camera, and then we'll get the oil change. Back, YouTubers. The engine is now warmed up, and I'm going to flip it over. Side. Now, notice I put a pan under there. That's to catch gasoline from running out of the gas tank, because I'm on asphalt. You want to make sure when you flip your mower upside down, or on the side, that you flip it so that the exhaust valve is up like this, because the valve cover, basically you're making sure the valve cover is up, because where the valves are, if you jump to having the valves down, oil will flow in there, and then it will when you rotate the blade, it'll end up getting pushed into the carburetor and into the air filter, making the air filter all nasty, and your carburetor will be all full of oil. So now what we got to do is, I've got 3 bolts. This one is going to be take a 5/8 socket, and these are 7/16. So I'm going to be using an impact, and at the same, after I take the blade off, over here is the try to zoom in on it. Right there is the drain plug for the oil. So I've got an oil pan ready. So I'm going to take the blade off first, and then I'm going to open up the drain plug, and then turn the mower back over so it can be draining. And I will show you what I'm using. I made these. That's a 5-quart oil container, but you can use a coolant jug. But what I did is I took it and cut a window in the side of it. Yeah, see, it's a GTX high mileage oil container. I cut a window out of it so I can use this as a low pan for small engine stuff, and then I can just dump it out through the spout. So that's what I made for that. And I'm going to be using this 3/8 impact right here, and right now it's got the 5/8 head on it. So I'm going to be taking the blade off, and then I'm going to be using a 3/8 see which weapon do I want to use. I'm going to take a 3/8 ratchet and an extension. There's an extension here. I'm going to take an extension and use that to open the drain plug. YouTubers, I went ahead and sharpened the blade. I'll show you what I did because it's so noisy that you couldn't hear anything. First, safety first. I put on a face shield. Here's the setup I have for seeing if the blade is balanced, and this one, as you can see, is fairly balanced. It's like this end is barely a little bit heavier, but that's not going to matter any. You just don't want it like dropping down, because then if it's unbalanced, then it's going to cause, since it's spinning, it will cause a lot of vibration. And because this is a universal blade, I had to use this. I normally use this thing right here. I normally use this and put it on there, but with the universal blade, it's got a funny star-shaped thing, and it's not round, so it didn't really work. But to sharpen it, I use my angle die grinder with an abrasive cookie on it. Okay, it's a fairly aggressive sandpaper cookie, and I use that because it's easier to maintain the angle with the blade. And this blade was so bad that at first I wasn't sure even if it had ever been sharpened before. Or I mean, you know, it looked almost like it had never had an edge put on it. But anyway, this is how the setup. I'll take this out now, and okay, now I can show you this. This is a universal blade. So you see this pattern. That pattern does not lend itself to use that thing. So I just went ahead, and you can still put a nail or something in this. I had a little toxic spill here. Because when I started taking the oil out, if you look at this, and this might be something to always keep a mental note of, when you've got this turned to the correct side so that the exhaust is up and the valve side is up, and you've got your drain plug, see right there, the drain plug, if it's on the bottom side, oil is going to pour out immediately when you take it off. If the drain plug is up at the top, you can take it off like this, but I should have known better, but I was just being lazy, so I took it off anyway and then tried to dump it over and let it drain into a pan. It's a lot smarter when you've got this set up is to look first and then put the front and the back end of the chassis up on something. I've got, like, these are like cat litter containers, but I put one in the front and one in the back so the whole thing is elevated up in the air, and then I just go under there and let the oil drain just straight down, and like you would on a car, and it's just a lot less smarter to do that if you got that situation. Because as soon as I started dumping it out, it ran between the engine and the chassis and pulled on the other side, and ended up dumping all over here. So anyway, that's just my take on it. If it's got it